Medical Spa, 1009B City Avenue North, Ripley, 587-8176. Call for your appointment. Providing modern medicine with Southern hospitality. That's Magnolia State Family Medicine, 100% veteran-owned and operated. Bethel University Physician Assistant Program affiliated. Magnolia State Family Medicine. Dr. Christopher J.M. Cummins, medical doctor. Fast, hot, and fresh. Open 24 hours just for you. Dodge's Store. Come be our guest. Dodge's Store, Ripley. We are 100% employee owned with friendly service and a fun atmosphere. High quality, low prices. We are Food Giant. Our deli serving breakfast, lunch, supper. Food Giant, 702 Highway 15 North, Ripley. Come shop Food Giant. Want fresh meat and fresh produce? Food Giant's the place. High quality, low prices. Food Giant. Mid-South Medical Supply. We offer Jazzy Power Chairs, Pride Scooters, Pride Lift Chairs, oxygen and supplies, internal nutrition, hospital beds, wheelchairs, walkers, commode chairs, and more. And if we haven't got it, we'll get it. We bill Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance. Mid-South Medical Supply, 1-800-837-8575. 837-4824. Our fax number is 837-0035. We're located at 1021 City Avenue North, Ripley. Remember, if you're sick and at home, we're there for you. Mid-South Medical Supply. Now, welcome to Ask Dr. Cummins. Please call 587-8176. Ask Dr. Cummins.
Good evening and welcome to the Ask Dr. Cummins Show. Lee Allen Pegram along with Dr. Cummins. Good evening, Doc.
Good evening, Lee Allen. How you doing today?
Oh, doing great. I feel like, what's that, Gunsmoke, Mr. Dillon, and a guy named Doc. I used to call him Doc.
Shoot out the OK Corral. Man.
Yes, sir. Everything going all right with you?
Going well. Just staying busy. Experiencing a lot of, I guess you'd call it summertime colds. We've seen some flu and some strep.
Well, some of my questions are geared to.
It's been quite interesting the last week or two.
Your Saturdays, how's that going?
Just continues to be very busy, and especially with that infamous triage going on.
We've created a new term at Ripley.
Yeah,
You've just been triaged.
That's right. You have been triaged, and that is I didn't know that was going to coincide with what our plans were. But it's been actually good for the community because now they have somewhere to go.
Well, that's right, somewhere to go on the weekend.
That's right.
And I've heard some comments publicly in coffee shops and whatnot of people that have come to you to see you on Saturday, and they said, that's really a good thing that we do have somewhere to go. And I think you did a service as opposed, of course you're in business. I mean,
right.
We're all in
Thank
business.
You. But I do take some personal satisfaction in the fact that our working class people now have an opportunity not to miss work, but to still get good quality care. And I think that's just was long overdue.
On a sad note, and this is not concerning the show, but I'd like to for everybody to kind of be thinking for the family of Ron Coomer. Ron Coomer, Doc, was he was a performer down here. He sang on the church show on Tuesday nights, and then he had a gospel show for an hour on Monday nights, Ron and Dave, and he sang with the church the following Tuesday night at 8. And then he helped Tony in the back. Sometimes he'd do the soundboard and give Tony some relief, and he passed away this past Sunday, 6:30 in the morning. He had some health problems, and I guess it finally took its toll on him. He was a fine fellow, and we'd like to extend from the Ask Dr. Cummins Show our sympathy to Ron's family, and it's hard times when something like that hits, but Ron had met his Lord, and he's in a good place right now. So we will be sorely missed at TV 19, and we'd like to pay our respects from the show tonight.
We hate to lose good people from the community.
Well, he was a good man, and just something unfortunate, and it happened. But anyway, any announcements that you got that you might want to mention? This is June.
We're getting into June, getting into those dog days, and but the only we usually like to mention what's going on for the month as far as health recognition, and we do have Father's Day coming up on the 19th, and I guess that's maybe why they started this from the 13th through the 19th. Through Father's Day is National Men's Health Week. So that'd be a good time for you ladies to encourage your loved ones that are males, husbands, granddaddies, whoever else. You know, they need to have their annual exams done. We want them around. And you men, you know, it's time to set a good example to your spouses and to your grandchildren and children, and get yourself seen about and show them how much you value your health care, because the more the daddy cares about it, the more the whole family is going to move in that direction. And you can set that example, and I think that'd be a wonderful, wonderful deal. Good time to take advantage of it. National Men's Health Week.
Let me kind of ask you, since you mentioned it, you said get your annuals. What consists of an annual? What would you call a proper annual physical for a male, let's say 40 and above? What would you consider? Let's say I came into your office and said I want an annual physical. What would you do?
Right. And you did hit on a good point. It's usually age specific. So different decades of life, you focus on different things. Certainly the physical examination is your basics, you know, your eyes, nose, ears, heart, lungs, your belly, listening to that.
Do you still tap you on the knee?
Oh, yeah, get them reflexes, especially if there's any particular complaints. But do all those. There are some annual blood work, like chemistry panels, which usually include your sodiums and potassiums and things like that. Doing a blood count, testing for anemia. But from that man 40 and above, you'll get doing that medical history we've talked about a long time ago will help point us in directions for needs of special screens, such as a prostate screen, a screen for prostate cancer, which is a blood test and a part of the physical examination. Also, determining when you're going to have that colon cancer screening with that first one. Most time it's around age 50, but if you have family members who have had colon cancer, like mom and daddy or grandparents or brother, sister, or a child, you might start around 40. There's some debate, 40 or 45. But then about every 3 to 5 years after that, you'd have your screening. So those are some of the big ones. Vision screening, make sure your vision is staying intact. We do a basic visual test in the clinic, and which is basic hearing test and things like that, and going out to those specialists if we need to. And those are just off the cuff. That's some basic men's health. Prostate and colon cancer are big for men. And colon cancer is really big for everyone, but prostate is one that's more unique to men.
Well, just kind of wondered, you know, but you say annual physical. I think most of your insurance companies, if I'm not mistaken, I know a lot that I deal with have what they call a wellness benefit. They give you up to a couple of $100, $300, $400 to do without a copay to do a wellness.
Right.
So
usually they pay 100% for that.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's become kind of the buzzword of wellness benefit now, and some of your Aflac policies. I know your Aflac policies have a wellness. I think they pay up to $75.
And, you know, you're already paying for it.
Yeah.
So I mean,
a good way to get some money back.
That's right. And I tell you what, the best thing you can do is invest in your health.
Yeah.
And especially, and I'm not saying it's to the detriment of single people, but you know, if you have other people who are dependent upon you, you know, children, spouse, and things like that, you know, you should really almost consider that an obligatory thing to do to be around, take care of those people that we have created or that we've married to, and things like that.
Okay, Doc, let's get, just for those that wondered, you're going to hear that during the month of June, your annual physical. So give that a shot, Dr. Cummins. He's no excuse now. He's open on Saturdays, so you people that work Monday through Friday can go on Saturday and get it done, and that's a good thing. So let me get straight into the questions, Doc. Got one in here. Lady called in, says she's on prednisone for a step down pack, and has been through it. And has been through with it for about 3 to 4 weeks. I guess she's taking some kind of step. Okay, you know what I don't know. She still has a bitter taste in her mouth, and food still tastes funny, even though she's been through with it 3 to 4 weeks. Is this from the pills, you think, or could it possibly be another problem? She needs to know if she needs to wait it out and maybe it'll go away, or does she need to see a doctor?
Most likely, she doesn't need to see a doctor for that. It is either related to the medicine, and when she's talking about stepping it down, in medicine we'd call that a taper. Like she might have taken 5 pills this day. People familiar with that prednisone pack? It starts with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
So she stepped it all the way down to nothing. And sometimes medicines can cause changes in taste. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the medical term for that is hypoglycemia. And that can do it. Just having a common cold or a virus or something like that, sometimes your taste will change. You can have a stroke in certain parts of your brain, cause you to have taste changes. I would give it a week or 2 to see if that goes away. Now, if she did not have that loss of taste prior to whatever caused her to take that medicine at this time, in a couple of weeks to a month, it's not gone back to normal, that needs to be seen about. Because then something else could have happened. Because Lord knows, you can have more than one thing happen to you at a time.
Okay. All right, young lady, or old lady, or mid-aged lady, I hope that answers your question. You said the taste can change taste. A question that I didn't write down, but a lady asked me, she's about 62 years old, and she says that every time she takes a shower or a bath and lathers up the soap and puts it on her body, she reeks of the smell of ammonia. Have you ever heard of that?
In a way. Sometimes people that have, one of them could be diabetes, and they're known for sometimes having what they call an acetone breath, and they can certainly release that through their sweat pores as well.
She says she'll lather up.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the correlation would be between maybe that's just really when she's really noticing what's going on.
That's when she notices it, when she takes it out.
But I know with diabetics, they say, like, if you had and I know we're in a dry county, but if you had a head of beer that was foamy and they would breathe on it, it'll just flatten that head.
Really?
Because of the acetone or the type that's in there.
I've never heard
So diabetes just comes to mind so fast with that conversation. But that being said, there's other things too. Cystic fibrosis, which is one of the most common inheritable diseases in people of European descent. They actually even do a test called a sweat chloride test, which their sweat is a little sweeter, if you will, than the average person's. So that could put out some type of smell as well. There's going to be other medical problems related to that. But then again, it could just be some chemical reaction going on between that soap and her skin making that happen. Because everybody responds differently to all of these different soaps and perfumes that are in the soaps.
Well, that's just fixing to say. You got your antibacterial soaps. You got your body mousse soaps. I mean, just many different types of things. Yeah.
Now, one thing you could do, and it would be cheap to do, would be to get you a really sensitive skin soap. I know we have one type in the clinic called Vanicream, which is like for sensitive skin, has no extra anything, and no scents. And then she could try a soap like that and see if she still noticed that smell.
Okay.
Because it may be coming more from the reaction from that soap in the hot water or wherever she's taking a bath than even from her skin or her body.
You know, the slightest thing can go wrong, can't it?
Oh yeah. I tell you
I'd
what,
have never thought to ask a question like that.
Right.
But that's on, and I'm not laughing because that question's serious because it's on that person's mind,
Right.
and it's something she's noticed, and that's important to her.
Yeah.
So,
and it's like one thing I always tell my patients, and I think I've mentioned on the show before, is that, you know, if you hear the hoof beats, you think about horses.
yeah,
So what's the most common thing? But sometimes when you hear hoof beats, there's zebras out there.
yeah,
And from a medical standpoint, I want to make sure that we rule out things that could hurt you the fastest. And that's probably not correct English, but
that's fine.
if
On this show, that's fine when you're a moderator.
but if you know, those things are important to people, and it could be a serious disease. So we want to make sure we rule those things out, and we also want to do those economically. So just getting that bar of soap that's unscented or sensitive skin based, and seeing if you notice that same thing, that may alleviate your concerns you've been having. Probably we should ask the question a long time ago.
Yeah. All right, young lady. I hope that answered your question. Let's get on to the next one. A COPD patient is bad to get strangled when she eats. Any advice? She no longer eats in public places because of it. Also, she is very concerned that if the food is sucked down into her lungs, what happens to it, and could it cause future problems? Did I ask that?
Yes. COPD patients do not necessarily usually have swallowing problems, but the older we get or other medical problems we have, we can certainly have swallowing issues. The concern that she is rightly worried about is what we call aspiration. Aspiration is when when we say it went down the wrong pipe.
Right.
Okay.
You can feel it when
Right.
it happens.
It basically goes down your windpipe or your trachea, and then possibly into the lungs. And she wants to know what would happen if that occurred. And
To the food.
it could be a wide range of things that could happen. It could, if it were a big enough, what we call a bolus of food, a big enough piece of that food went down there, it could block off your airway, kill you. Just like a clot to the lungs could.
Yeah.
Most times does that happen? No. So what usually happens if somebody aspirates a piece of food is that it can set up in your lungs, and if it's large enough and your immune system is not strong enough, you can end up with like pneumonia, or a granuloma may form, which is the body's response of putting like a protective casing around that so it doesn't cause any trouble for the rest of your body. You hear that a lot of time with people that have tuberculosis
Okay.
or have been exposed to it. They may have some types of granulomas. Or a farmer that's been working out in the dirt a lot, inhales a lot of dirt and dust into his lungs, or smokers who get some good bits of that tar and all this kind of stuff in it. It may form a granuloma. So if you hear somebody in an x-ray say granulomatous disease, it could be from any of those number of things. And usually it's okay as long as it's not causing a particular problem at the time. But the big thing would be something that would just make you not be able to breathe. That's why you need to chew your food real well.
Yeah, that's big.
Right. And then the next thing is a possible pneumonia.
Well, what happens to the food after it gets into the lungs?
Like I say, if the body can't not completely break it down with the enzymes and the blood cells that are there to do those such things, because you have like protective cells everywhere doing it. But if it can't do it, it'll just build a wall around it.
So you're saying that the natural turn of events on that would be for the body, like the stomach, even though your lungs are not like the stomach, but your lungs do have a protective something.
Right.
To go in there and fight
Usually
the particle.
eat it away to some degree. But,
Okay.
if it can't eat it, they'll do the same thing the Romans did to our Scots-Irish ancestors. They'll just build a wall across the place and around it and keep it in.
And just keep it in.
Yeah.
I got you.
So that would be the other thing.
And it would just be there.
Right. And most of the time not cause any problem.
Okay.
Because we have a huge lung capacity as long as we're healthy, and you can miss part of it and you'll be okay. That's why sometimes people have lung cancer they'll do what they call a lobectomy, take out a whole lobe
Right,
of
I've
your
heard of
lung,
that, yeah.
then the lung expands and you're pretty much still all right.
Right.
Now, you may not be able to be Carl Lewis and run a marathon,
Right.
but under normal living conditions, you'd be fine.
Yeah, okay.
So that's generally, but now, if she's having trouble swallowing, you know, you can get, we have several good speech therapists / speech pathologists in town that they can do, your doctor can refer you to them to do a swallow evaluation. And they can help you teach techniques or how to change your diet where you don't have that problem.
Okay.
So, I mean, and that's a very low impact and easy thing to do.
All right, young lady, we hope that answers your question. We're fixing to take a break. We'll be right back after we hear from our sponsors.
Health Center and Medical Spa, 1009B City Avenue North, Ripley, 587-8176. Call for your appointment. Providing modern medicine with Southern hospitality. That's Magnolia State Family Medicine, 100% veteran-owned and operated. Bethel University Physician Assistant Program affiliated. Magnolia State Family Medicine. Dr. Christopher J.M. Cummins, medical doctor. Fast, hot, and fresh. Open 24 hours just for you. Dodge's Store. Come be our guest. Dodge's Store, Ripley. We are 100% employee owned with friendly service and a fun atmosphere. High quality, low prices. We are Food Giant. Our deli serving breakfast, lunch, supper. Food Giant, 702 Highway 15 North, Ripley. Come shop Food Giant. Want fresh meat and fresh produce? Food Giant's the place. High quality, low prices, Food Giant. Mid-South Medical Supply. We offer Jazzy Power Chairs, Pride Scooters, Pride Lift Chairs, oxygen and supplies, internal nutrition, hospital beds, wheelchairs, walkers, commode chairs, and more. And if we haven't got it, we'll get it. We bill Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance. Mid-South Medical Supply, 1-800-837-8575. 837-4824. Our fax number is 837-0035. We're located at 1021 City Avenue North, Ripley. Remember, if you're sick and at home, we're there for you. Mid-South Medical Supply. Now, welcome to Ask Dr. Cummins. Please call 587-8176. Ask Dr. Cummins.
And you go in there, please tell them you saw their ad on TV 19. We certainly would appreciate it. We got time for about one more question, and this one's probably kind of broad as it is not long, but I mean, you could say it says, and you were talking about it up front, what are some simple signs of a heat stroke? And do older people get hotter outside easier than young folks? What could possibly be the difference between older people getting hot quicker or young? I mean, does that make sense to you?
Yeah. First question is,
what are the simple signs of a heat stroke?
all right.
Which
So-
is coming up. So it's 95 degrees.
Right. Nausea,
Okay.
and then if you start throwing up, big problems. But nausea is a big sign. Headache, and there are different stages of heat stroke or pre-heat stroke, if you will, and all that kind of stuff. But the headache, nausea, visual changes, heavy sweating at first, but toward the end, you're not sweating at all. That's a real big concern if you're not sweating.
Not sweating.
Right. You kind of went through the whole cycle.
In other words, you're out there and you're mowing the grass. And after about 10 minutes, you start to tell it's 95 degrees outside and you start sweating. And you're saying that, all right, if I keep on mowing the grass, and I have to put this stuff in simple terms.
Right.
If you keep mowing the grass until you get through and you maintain the sweat, that's okay. But if after about 30 minutes and you got about 20 minutes left, all of a sudden you stop sweating,
Right.
that's a problem?
And you get dry.
Okay.
Your skin gets dry instead of being moist and wet.
Yeah.
It's a problem. Because
Okay.
we don't live in the desert where that may happen. We live in a humid area where we should always have some moisture about us and stuff. But when that person quits sweating, that's saying you really don't have any fluid left to give out.
Okay.
Okay? Because your body's trying to cool itself off when you sweat. That's why our ancestors were much smarter than we were that worked here in Mississippi in the summertime when they wore their long sleeves and their straw hat outside. Because you sweat into your shirt, and it stays wet and it cools you off.
Kind of like an air conditioner.
Right. And then we go out there with no shirt on. We're removing our own protective
air conditioner.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're out there with no air.
That's exactly right. And getting more direct exposure from the sun. So that's one thing. The older, it's just that the older we get, the less or the longer it takes your body to compensate for an adverse change. So what I'm saying is if, going from 72 degrees inside to 100 degrees outside is quite a shock to the body. And the longer you're out there, the more of a shock it's going to be, because we have regulatory mechanisms in our brain. Okay, we've been living, your brain wants to be always at 98.6 approximately. So it gets used to compensating for that 72, which makes it really easy for the brain to some degree. Has to heat you up just a little bit. Then you go outside 100 degrees, you've been at 72, it throws the brain off.
Yeah.
And a lot harder for the body to control those things. And so just older people are just going to take longer. They're going to have to make sure that their tank stays more full than a younger person who can compensate a little bit better. And what I mean by that is taking in fluids. And it's not just water. You need to take in things that have a little salt and chloride in them, like Gatorade and stuff like that, with prolonged staying
So that
outside.
type of drink is good for you.
Oh, yeah. Big time. That was invented actually by a doctor. And I don't know if most people know that story, but it was invented for the Florida Gators.
Right.
So that's the Gatorade. A lot of people who don't watch sports may not even know that. But and you can actually get some Gatorade now that's like half the sugar. So if you're got diabetic,
Gatorade Light,
you still can take your Gatorade and get what you need in there. But
they probably charge more for Gatorade Light than they do for Gatorade.
Charge more to take it out. But that's maintaining those fluids is important. And I know from a military standpoint, what we do in the National Guard is we have what they call a water ball or wet ball, and it depends on what category that we're put into. But if it gets like 100 degrees, they might only let you work 15 minutes and you break 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Or it's 80 degrees, you work 45 minutes, take a break for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's important to take those breaks. You don't have to get all the way into something before you take your break. And I know a lot of my older people who have a marvelous work ethic want to work till they're finished. But sometimes it's okay to stop, gather your wits and everything else about you, get a drink, and then go finish.
Okay, Doc, I hope that answers your question. Heat strokes are going to be something we have to deal with. All right, Doc, that's it for this week. Time flies when you're having fun. We look forward, appreciate you coming in this evening. We appreciate y'all tuning us in this evening. And we'll look forward to seeing you next Thursday night at 6:30. This is Lee Allen Pegram along with Dr. Cummins on the Ask Dr. Cummins Show. Good night.
Good night.
Medical Spa, 1009B City Avenue North, Ripley, 587-8176. Call for your appointment. Providing modern medicine with Southern hospitality. That's Magnolia State Family Medicine, 100% veteran-owned and operated. Bethel University Physician Assistant Program affiliated. Magnolia State Family Medicine. Dr. Christopher J.M. Cummins, Medical Doctor. Fast, hot, and fresh. Open 24 hours just for you. Dodge's Store. Come be our guest. Dodge's Store, Ripley. We are 100% employee-owned with friendly service and a fun atmosphere. High quality, low prices. We are Food Giant. Our deli serving breakfast, lunch, supper. Food Giant, 702 Highway 15 North, Ripley. Come shop Food Giant. Want fresh meat and fresh produce? Food Giant's the place. High quality, low prices, Food Giant.